Imagine this. A family walks into a movie theater. They buy 4 tickets, 2 large popcorns, 4 sodas, some candy, and after spending nearly $100, the movie theater barely cares about the tickets. Sounds ridiculous. After all, people come to watch movies, not eat popcorn. But here's the shocking reality. In many theaters, the popcorn is actually more profitable than the movie itself. In fact, some theaters would rather sell you snacks than tickets. So how does this business really work? How much money does a movie theater make? Why are so many theaters struggling? And if theaters are such giant money-making machines, why have thousands disappeared? Let's find out. Movie theaters look incredible. Huge buildings, massive screens, hundreds of seats, thousands of visitors every week. At first glance, it seems like a perfect business. A movie costs millions to make. The theater simply presses play. People buy tickets, money comes in. Easy, right? Not exactly. Because the movie theater industry has a secret problem. The thing customers pay for isn't what makes the theater money. Let's say a ticket costs $15. Most people assume the theater keeps all $15. But that's not what happens. The movie belongs to the studio. Disney, Warner Brothers, Universal, Paramount, and these studios want their share. A very large share. For blockbuster movies, studios can take around half of ticket revenue, sometimes even more during the opening weeks. So from a $15 ticket, the theater might only keep $7, sometimes less. Suddenly, the business doesn't look so amazing. And it gets worse, because theaters still have enormous expenses. A theater building isn't cheap. First, there's the land, then construction, then giant projection systems, audio equipment, air conditioning, lighting, maintenance, insurance, security, employees, cleaning crews, utilities, property taxes. Everything costs money. Even if only a handful of people show up, the expenses don't disappear. The theater keeps paying, every day, whether the seats are full or empty. This creates a dangerous situation. A theater can sell thousands of tickets and still struggle financially. So where does the real profit come from? The concession stand. This is where things get interesting. Let's talk about popcorn. A giant bucket of popcorn might sell for $10, sometimes more, but the ingredients cost surprisingly little. Corn kernels are cheap, oil is cheap, salt is cheap. The actual production costs can be well under $1, yet customers willingly pay 10 times that amount. Why? Because they're trapped. Not literally, but psychologically. People associate movies with snacks. Watching a movie without popcorn feels strange. The theater knows this, and that's exactly why popcorn became one of the most profitable foods on Earth. The same thing happens with soda. A drink costing only a few cents can be sold for several dollars. These massive margins help theaters survive. Without concessions, many theaters would likely lose money. Have you ever noticed something? Movie theaters rarely stop you on the way to the concession stand. In fact, they encourage it. Bright displays, combo deals, large sizes, special promotions. Everything is designed to increase food sales. Because when a customer buys popcorn and soda, the theater often earns more profit than it does from the ticket. The movie gets people into the building. The snacks make the money. It's a brilliant business model, but it has one weakness. People can watch movies somewhere else. For decades, theaters had very little competition. If you wanted the newest movie, you had to go to the cinema. There was no alternative. Then came streaming. Netflix, Amazon Prime, Disney+, Max, and many others. Suddenly, people could watch thousands of movies from their couch. No parking, no lines, no expensive snacks, no crowded rooms. For consumers, it was incredibly convenient. For theaters, it was terrifying. Because every movie watched at home is a customer who never buys popcorn. Then things got even worse. In 2020, theaters around the world shut down. Many remained closed for months. Revenue collapsed. Expenses continued. Some companies survived. Many didn't. The pandemic accelerated a trend that was already happening. Consumers were becoming comfortable with home entertainment, and theaters had to adapt. Fast. Theaters realized something important. They could no longer compete with convenience. Streaming would always be more convenient. So instead, they focused on experience. IMAX screens, luxury seating, Dolby Atmos sound, 4DX motion systems, reclining chairs, food service, VIP experiences. The goal changed. Instead of simply showing movies, theaters began selling experiences, something impossible to replicate at home, at least for most people. There's another challenge. An airplane seat that flies empty is lost revenue. Movie theater seats work the same way. Once the movie starts, any unsold seat becomes worthless. A theater with 300 seats and 50 customers isn't using its assets efficiently. This is why blockbuster movies are so important. One successful film can fill seats for weeks. One bad season can create financial pain. So are movie theaters actually profitable? The answer is sometimes. A successful theater in a good location can be highly profitable, especially if concession sales are strong. But it's far from guaranteed. The business requires huge upfront investments, constant maintenance, and a steady flow of customers. One thing is clear. Movie theaters are not really in the movie business. They're in the real estate business and the food business. The movies simply bring people through the door. The next time you walk into a theater, look beyond the giant screen, because the real story isn't happening in the auditorium. It's happening at the concession counter. The movie may be the attraction, but the popcorn is the profit. And that's why a business built around films has survived for more than a century. Not because it sells movies, but because it sells an experience. And as long as people are willing to pay for experiences, movie theaters may continue to survive, even in the age of streaming.